Did you know that only 8% of people actually achieve their goals? That's right, 92% fail. It's not because they aren't trying. It's because they're focusing on the wrong things. Most people think change is all about setting goals, working harder, or getting more motivated. But what if I told you that's not the key at all? Here's the truth. To become who you want to be, you have to change who you are inside first. Forget the typical advice. We're going deeper. In this video, I'll show you how to unlock your inner blueprint, shift your identity, and use micro actions to transform your life. Ready to learn how small daily habits can create a 37x improvement? Or how dressing a certain way can actually change how you think? Stick around, and I'll show you how to live as your future self, starting today. Let's dive in. Chapter 1. Unleashing your inner blueprint. Most people spend their lives chasing goals, but few ever stop to ask, who am I really? The answer to that question is your inner blueprint. It's the key to becoming who you truly want to be. Before you can transform, you need to know what drives you from the inside. Think about it. Why do some people seem to know exactly what they want, while others struggle? Research by Dr. Carol Dweck, a Stanford psychologist, suggests that those with a growth mindset, who believe their skills and abilities can improve over time, are more likely to achieve lasting change. This mindset begins with understanding your core values, beliefs, and strengths. These are the things that fuel your actions every day, whether you realize it or not. One strategy for discovering your inner blueprint is asking yourself questions like, what are my non-negotiables in life? Or, what gives me energy and joy? Once you have those answers, you can start shaping your goals around them. Consider this. 80% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions by February. Why? Because their goals aren't aligned with their core values. So, instead of setting random goals, set ones that match who you really are deep down. This way, you're not just trying to reach a target, you're building a life that feels right to you. Chapter 2. The power of identity shifting. Most people try to change their habits first, thinking that will lead them to become the person they want to be. But that's like building a house without a foundation. True transformation starts by shifting your identity, the way you see yourself. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, says, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. In other words, your habits reflect who you think you are. If you see yourself as a procrastinator, you'll likely continue to procrastinate, no matter how many productivity hacks you try. But if you begin to see yourself as someone who gets things done, your actions will start to align with that. One practical way to shift your identity is through affirmations. Now, I know what you're thinking, affirmations sound cheesy. But there's science behind it. Studies from Carnegie Mellon University have shown that self-affirmation can improve problem-solving under stress. By telling yourself that you are already the person you want to be, you train your brain to accept that identity and act accordingly. Try this. Instead of saying, I want to be healthier, say, I am someone who makes healthy choices. The small language shift rewires your thinking. When your identity changes, your behavior follows naturally. Chapter 3. Crafting a vision-driven life. Now that you've got a clearer sense of who you are and you've started to shift your identity, it's time to think big. Most people set goals based on where they are right now. But to become the person you want to be, you need to start living with a vision of your future self. Studies show that people who visualize their success are more likely to achieve it. One study from the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, found that students who visualized the process of achieving their goals, rather than just the outcome, performed better academically. So, don't just picture the end result, picture the steps you'll take to get there. For example, if you want to become a more confident speaker, visualize yourself practicing, receiving feedback, and improving, not just the moment of standing confidently on stage. Here's a unique strategy. Write a letter from your future self. Pretend it's 5 or 10 years from now, and you've become the person you want to be. Describe in detail what your life looks like. Be specific. This taps into something called episodic future thinking, a mental process that lets you emotionally connect to future events. Research shows this can increase your motivation to achieve those future outcomes. By crafting a vision-driven life, you give yourself a roadmap to follow. You're no longer just drifting from one day to the next. Instead, every action you take brings you closer to that vision of who you want to become. If you're finding this content helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more tips on personal development. Chapter 4. Breaking the chains of past conditioning. Your past doesn't define you, but it can definitely shape you. If you're stuck repeating the same behaviors, it's often because of past conditioning. Limiting beliefs. Those deep-seated thoughts like, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed," can quietly sabotage your efforts to change. Dr. Joe Dispenza, in his book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, explains how 95% of who we are by age 35 is a set of conditioned responses, behaviors, and beliefs. That means much of what we do comes from autopilot patterns learned over time. So, to become who you want to be, you have to break free from that conditioning. A powerful strategy for doing this is thought auditing. Throughout your day, pause and ask, is this thought serving my future self? If not, challenge it. It's a simple yet effective way to interrupt old mental patterns and replace them with more empowering ones. Another key tool is reframing. Let's say you think, "I always mess up in interviews." You can reframe that to, "I'm learning how to get better in interviews." By shifting your perspective, you break free from the self-limiting beliefs that hold you back. Studies show that self-compassion, or being kind to yourself during moments of failure, helps break the cycle of self-sabotage. A 2011 study by Dr. Kristin Neff found that people who practice self-compassion are more likely to make positive changes in their lives. So, instead of beating yourself up over past mistakes, learn from them and move forward. Chapter 5. Mastering micro-momentum. Ever notice how tiny changes can lead to huge results over time? That's the power of micro-momentum, the idea that small, consistent actions can create unstoppable momentum. James Clear calls this the 1% rule in Atomic Habits. If you improve just 1% every day, by the end of the year, you'll be 37 times better. One effective strategy to build micro-momentum is using habit stacking. This concept, also from Clear, involves pairing a new habit with an existing one. For example, if you want to start journaling, do it right after you brush your teeth in the morning. The existing habit of brushing your teeth triggers the new habit, making it easier to stick with. Another great tool is the 2-minute rule, which encourages you to start any new habit by doing it for just 2 minutes. Want to start exercising? Commit to just 2 minutes of movement. Once you begin, it's easier to keep going. This takes advantage of Newton's first law of motion: an object in motion stays in motion. Micro-momentum also works because it taps into something called the compound effect. Author Darren Hardy explains this in his book The Compound Effect. Small, consistent choices over time add up to big results. This means that even if your progress feels tiny day to day, it's actually building towards something much bigger. The secret here? Don't wait for motivation to strike. Focus on the small actions you can take today. Over time, those little efforts create the momentum that moves you toward the person you want to be. If you enjoyed these insights, be sure to subscribe for more powerful tips on personal development.